Hello, everyone. How are you today?
Hello, brother. Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, good.
Hello, teacher. Yes, I'm good.
Hi. Yeah. So good to see everyone. So in the first session, you talk about collocations, and I'm sure by now you understand what collocation is and why it is useful. So can anybody tell me briefly what is collocation? Okay, anybody still have your notes with you? What is collocation and what do we use it for? Okay, so while waiting for others, you can also open your textbook, the PDF file. Today we will do some of the exercises, but then it also helps if you can look at some of the examples there that we cannot cover in the class. Yeah, so just to recap, collocation means word partners. And the way people build collocation is based on corpus analysis, that is the analysis of how people use languages so that we know which word goes with which words. So to be a natural speaker of English, you need to know collocations. You need to memorize them, but it needs to be part of your active vocabulary because when you speak with someone, you may not have time to think about grammar, to think about rule and structures. So learning collocation is the fastest way to build fluency. And today we will continue the topic. Today, Friday, and next Monday, we will look at discourse functions, right? Discourse in English means any interaction is a discourse. When you talk to your coworker, it's a discourse. If you are a teacher, you teach your students, it's a discourse. So discourse, just a technical term for conversation. And functions is it's called a useful phrase for you to achieve something in that conversation. For example, if I want to tell someone that I am hosting a party and please join me. So the function I need will be invitations. And I will have to write an email or to speak to someone, but I probably need to use phrase like, are you available on? Okay, so this is a phrase I can use to indicate that I want to know your free time. Or I may say, I would like to invite you to join my party, which is a direct invitation. Or if I am talking to someone who is a senior or a celebrity, and I am not sure if they are okay to join my party, I say, would you mind if I, right? So you see this one starting from, are you free at, which is typically what you say to a friend, or a direct invitation, I would like to invite you to, or would you mind if I, right? Would you mind if I has a more polite tone because you you are afraid that the person may not be willing to join your party. Right, so today we take a look at 3 of the topics from the book, and at the end, I will tell you some homework that you can do in order to learn more in that. Okay, so to start with, let's just take a look at some of the discourse functions that we use to indicate that we start something, right? So when you say you start something, you can say make a start. Let us make a start. If you check the book, I think they give an excellent example. Everybody is here. Let us make a start. So don't say do a start or have a start. When I say collocation, you have to memorize it as it is, just like how are you? We don't really analyze how are you, like how as a question word, as it is a verb to be, you as a pronoun. We don't do that. So to build fluency, just memorize it as it is, right? Make a start. Yeah, let us make a start. Why don't we make a start? Another one is get started. You can also use it with let's get started. Let's get started means let's start something that we agree upon. Okay, let's get started. Let's say we agree to play tennis or we agree to play football. And then everybody is here and it's already time. Let's get started. With our class or online meeting, you can say, let's get started. So let's get started is for something that you have agreed to start at a certain time, right? If you don't make an agreement and you use it, it will sound a little bit strange. People will not understand. For example, you go to your friend and say, let's get started. And your friend will say, what? Started what? So let's get started is when you and your conversation partner already know what you are supposed to start at what time, right? If we set the meeting will start at 4, and then by 4 o'clock or 4:05, you can say, let's get started. Okay, and so if you are taking notes, please also write it down, okay? And we will share this recording later. Number 3, which is my favorite, is make a promising start. So can anybody guess the meaning of make a promising start? Okay, just a guess. Yeah, it doesn't have to be correct. Once I will give you an example, then try making a guess. I started my own business back in 2020. It was a promising start before COVID-19 hit. So what is a promising start? I think the word promise, yeah, it comes from the word promise. So promising, to make a promising start is to start with good prospects, to start with good futures. But usually we say it when things did not end well, right? For example, you started your career as a professional athlete. So you made a promising start, you won some competitions, but then you had an injury, for example, or you started your new career as a salesperson. It was a promising start, but later you found that the industry had their own challenges and you did not make a lot of progress. So to make a promising start means something start in a really nice way, in a really positive way, right? Make an early start mean to take an early action, make an early start. And you can also say you are an absolute beginner at something. That means you are very new to something, right? I am an absolute beginner in tennis, or I am an absolute beginner in public speaking. So the word absolute and beginner go together. Get off to a good start, right? When something that you have planned for a while finally starts to fit together. For example, you started to build a business and then the business got off to a good start. That's when you can say this phrase, right? And then if you look at the book, there are a couple more phrases, but here are just some of the useful ones that you can use when you want to say something, right? If you are telling a story, you can say how you made a promising start before things started to happen. Or you can say you were an absolute beginner. For example, in IELTS, if you are talking about your own experience, you may say, I was an absolute beginner at that time, so I did not know. Then you can start building the story. Okay, the opposite side of starting is finishing. So when you want to talk about when something ends, right? In competition, you can use the first two phrases, a close finish or a nail-biting finish. That means a very close victory. You did not win by a lot of margins. For example, you and your competitor were competing in a race, and then you won by just a tiny fraction of a second, not even 1 second, maybe 0.0002 second. Then you call it a close finish. I mean, you were very close to losing, or you were very close to winning, right? It was a close finish. It was a nail-biting finish. Or maybe you were trying to meet your sales target, and then your friend asks, how did you do last year? How did you do last fiscal year? Did you meet the target? You say, yes, I did, but it was a close finish. So you say that, and then people will understand that, oh, you only met the target just a little bit. You did not exceed the target a lot, right? So you can say close finish or nail biting finish. Number 3 is a very useful one. Put the finishing touches to something. Yes, put the finishing touches to something. And yeah, my tip is for collocation, you need to repeat the phrase until you are very confident with it. Because if you say the phrase and you're still thinking about grammar, it's still not collocation for you, right? Put the finishing touches to something. You have to remember the whole phrase, not word by word. So to put the finishing touches to something means to finally complete something that you have been working on for a long time. For example, I am writing a book and I have spent 5 years with the book. And now I'm writing a concluding chapter. So I can tell my publisher or editor that I am putting the finishing touches to it. Or probably you are writing your sales report and your supervisor is checking with you. How is it? You say it will be ready in a moment. I'm putting the finishing touches to it. Yes, that means you are finalizing it, right? The technical term for that is to finalize it. But a more conversational way is to put the finishing touches to it. Bring something to an end, right? That's when it can be either positive or negative. For example, your friend had disagreements. You stepped in and brought it to an end. That means you brought the disagreement to an end, or you brought the dispute to an end. Or you can bring the business to an end, which is a negative thing. For example, COVID-19 brought a lot of business to an end, right? COVID-19 brought a lot of business to an end. That's a negative part. Come to an end is similar to that, just that if you don't want to use a subject, you can use come to an end. Rather than saying COVID-19 brought a lot of business to an end, you can say a lot of business came to an end. And then you can add COVID-19 later on if you want. But come to an end is when you do not want to use the subject that makes something end, but rather just that something comes to an end, right? My singing career came to an end in 2009, or my athletic career came to an end. Yeah, this one sounds confusing, but it's very useful. Mark the beginning of the end, right? We talk about changes here. For example, before we had iPhone, we had the Nokia, right? So you can say the presence of iPhone marked the beginning of the end of Nokia. That means the brand started to end because of the new competitor. That marked the beginning of the end. Another one that native speaker like to use is the end result, right? What is the end result of it? You can also say what is the result, but when you say the end result, that means it's a long process. For example, your company and another company have been negotiating about the collaboration, and it has been going on for 2 years. And then you want to check what is the end result. So it's not just the result of a particular discussion, but what is the end result of the whole process. So if you want to refer to the whole process, you use the word the end result. Yeah, a perfect end. That means in a competition or in a scenario where you have to meet the target, a perfect end is what you want. Like everything, yeah, happens the way you want it. An abrupt end, that means earlier than expected. When something ends before you expect it to end. For example, let me put everything together. You can also put bring something to an end here, but replace an end with an abrupt end. That means earlier than expected. Yes, you can say I was at my friend's party. I was supposed to be there until late night, but then I got a phone call and there was a report I was supposed to finish by early morning tomorrow. And that phone call brought my party to an abrupt end. That means you did not plan to leave that early, but because something happened, so it was an abrupt end. Yes, and when you want to close a meeting, you can say draw a meeting to a close. As you can see here, some phrases have the word finish, some phrases have the word end, some phrases have the word close, right? So you need to know like when to use finish, when to use end, when to use close. And the only way to do it is to get familiar and memorize the phrases. Okay, so we have the first part of the lessons, which is on starting and finishing. And I'm gonna give you sometimes, a few minutes to look at these sentences and please identify the errors in them, right? There is an error with the collocation and watch out for the word finish, end, and close. And also some of the phrases that match the words. Okay, everyone, anybody can correct the first one. It was such a near finish that no one was quite sure who had won. Okay, let me call on some of you just to remember your name too. How about Sok Hain? Oh, I think people started to change. Yes, okay. What do you think about the first one?
Sorry, teacher, I cannot find the error.
Okay,
Yeah,
but can you find collocation in there? Can you find a phrase? Which phrase is the collocation?
near finish that.
Yes, okay. That's good. Yes. So the first step is to know what is the collocation in that sentence, right? It was such a near finish. So a near finish is the collocation. And the correct one, I think so just send me the answer to the direct message. Yes, it was correct. The correct one is a close finish, right? So let me go through it one by one first in terms of collocation, then we will check the answer. The second one, I have just got to put the ending touches to my painting and then you can see it. So the phrase put the ending touches to. Number 3, I expect the meeting will go to an end at about 5:30. Go to an end is a phrase. Number 4, everyone is here. So I think we should do a start now. I think you still remember this one. Number 5, we all hope that the negotiation will succeed in taking the strike to an end. 6, email marked the start of the end for the fax machine. Our journey finished as it had begun in Cairo. 8, have you heard yet what the finished result of the talk was, right? Yes, so here is the correct answer. So we don't say a near finish, we say a close finish, right? So what near is when you talk about physical distance, right? I stand near you. My house is near the lake, or the resort is near the mountain. So it talks about the physical distance. If you want to talk about the distance that is not physical, for example, you were very close to the deadline. It's not physical, right? The deadline is not near you. It's just close. So when it is just a mental representation or something that you think is near but not in a physical space, then you can say close. It's a close finish. Yes, and the question almost finish. Almost finish is a verb. It's not a collocation. So almost is an adverb and finish is a verb. You can say, I almost finished the report. Yes, there is no collocation in there, but a close finish is a collocation. So if you are taking notes, yeah, in your note, when you review the books later or right now, just write down a close finish. That means you did something that will either very close to changing the result. It was a close finish, right? Number 2, put the finishing touches to, right? That's a collocation you need to memorize and use it. Put the finishing, we don't say ending, put the finishing touches to, right? Again, the word finish means to finalize it. After a long process, you need to finish it. All of your action, then you use finish, put the finishing touches to. That means you are trying to finalize it. It's your action. We don't say end. End when something start and then it end. The hurricane ended, right? The natural disaster ended. We don't say the natural disaster finished because it's not our action. It's a natural process, right? So put the finishing touches to. Number 3, come to an end, right? It comes to an end, not go to an end. Comes to an end. That's the phrase. And number 4, make a start. And I'm sure you remember it. And then number 5, bringing the strike to an end, right? Bring something to an end. Number 6, email mark the beginning of the end, right? This is the one that I say it sounds a bit confusing. The beginning of the end. That means something start to disappear. That's the beginning of the end. Our journey ended, right? Our journey ended. So we talk about the journey, not your action, but the journey, the plan and everything. Not finish, right? To finish the journey means you take action to make sure the journey ends. It doesn't make sense in this context. And number 8, have you heard yet what the end result of the talks? That means it's a long process and you want to know the conclusion of it. Okay, so I will send you the slide and then please review it so that you know the collocations and then learn it from the correct slide, right? This slide contains the error and this slide contains the correction. Oops, that's good. Yeah, this one contains the error. This one contains the correction. Yeah, let's go through a couple more topics before we do a practice together. Yeah, so you know how to talk about starting and finishing. You also need to know how to talk about success or successful story. Okay, I think someone accidentally annotate. Let me erase it. Okay. So when you talk about success, yeah, you can say make a breakthrough. So to make a breakthrough mean to make a big change to something that people did not know before. You can say iPhone was a breakthrough, or iPhone made a breakthrough in phones technology. A breakthrough means something that people have been searching for a long time, and finally you have found the answer. That is a breakthrough, right? A breakthrough in medical science, a breakthrough in artificial intelligence, or it can be a breakthrough in your company budget plan. Let's say it was a breakthrough when you have found different ways of doing the budget plan. And then when you want to talk about an achievement, there are a number of adjectives you can use. You can say a remarkable achievement. Remarkable. The word remarkable means people should talk about it. I mean, it is so good that people should talk about it. Yeah, it is a remarkable achievement. It comes from the word to remark, to make a point or to talk. Remarkable means something that is worthy of talks. Or you can say a crowning achievement. A crowning achievement is much more than a remarkable achievement. It comes from the word crown. So the crown is something that the king or queen wears. So when something is a crowning achievement, that means you have a new champion. Yeah, so to your question, all of these are collocation. All the phrases I put on the slide are collocations, and they all refer to success in different ways, right? You need to know their meaning, and you also need to know their examples. Okay, so let me get back to crowning achievement. So the word crown is something that the kings and queens wear. So a crowning achievement is when you have a new champion. For example, let's say for those of you who watch football, so you have Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, which were like the two top superstars, but now they are growing old. And maybe at some point there is a new player who like defeats their record. Let's say they score more goals, or they do something that beats the previous records of the previous two. And we can call that a crowning achievement. That means we have a new king or a new queen in the sport. Yeah, that's the definition of a crowning achievement. It's like you replace one champion with another. A dramatic improvement, that means a big improvement. Yes. And you may have a question, why can't we say a big improvement? You can say a big improvement, but for stylistic purpose, a dramatic improvement makes a better sense than a big improvement, because the big improvement is more like open, but dramatic has the word drama in it. Like you think about like the drama, the movie you watch, what kind of improvement it makes. It's dramatic, it's detailed, it has that kind of visual effects. Okay, have an excellent grasp of something. So this one is a bit difficult to put it because it's long, so you need to memorize. Have an excellent grasp of something mean to know how to do something really well. I have an excellent grasp of Chinese. That means you can speak Chinese really well. Or I have an excellent grasp of drawing. Or she has an excellent grasp of opera. That means she sings it really well, right? So to learn this phrase, first you have to learn how to pronounce grasp multiple times, because that was something that I found challenging. Grasp, grasp, grasp. You have to pronounce it so that you get familiar with it. Come in useful, that means something you will need it at some point. For example, if you go camping, insect spray will come in useful. That means you may not think about it right now, but at some point during camping, you may need it. Insect spray, right? Or you can say, when you study English, a dictionary will come in useful, because you will need a dictionary at some point, right? Take advantage of, that means to try to gain from someone or something, right? You could take advantage of your your friend. That means you are trying to get the benefits from the friendship. Or you can say you take advantage of something, take advantage of the opportunities to talk to some investor. For example, you attend a networking dinner, so you take advantage of the event to talk to someone that you think will be fruitful for your business success, right? And then we have a few phrases that I will go through quickly. Guaranteed success. That means something that you know will happen the way you want it. It comes from the word guarantee. So guaranteed success. Don't forget the D at the end because it's a verb 3. A guaranteed success means you already know that you will not fail. It was a guaranteed success. You prepare so well, so you can call it a guaranteed success. Highly effective. Yeah, just a simple one, but I put it here if you want to modify effective. You may know it from the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens or 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Make useful contributions. Yeah, that's just means what it means. You make useful contributions to the company. A brilliant success. Enjoy the fruits of one's hard work. This one is useful, right? So, or you can say hard work pays off. That means when you work hard on something, you can enjoy it later. You can work less harder. But you can also say enjoy the fruits of my hard work, right? You can say earlier in my career, I worked multiple jobs. For example, you had 3 jobs, like 1 full-time and 2 part-time. But then after 5 years of hard work, you finally enjoy the fruits of your hard work. That means you didn't have to work that hard, but you still enjoy the results. That's enjoy the fruits of the hard work. Bring out the best in somebody. That means the competition makes someone better. For example, you want to improve your speaking, but then you take the class. So the class can bring out the best in you. Or for some of you who want to take it a step further, you may join competition or you may join a speaking club like a Toastmaster. Or you probably volunteer to do like some speaking demonstrations, or you can go to a TED Talk event. That can also bring out the best in you. That means it pushes you to be your best. Win the respect of the people, right? So in English, when you use the word respect, you don't say get the respect. You say win the respect or earn the respect, just like you earn money. So to earn the respect or to win the respect, it's useful. Yeah. And yes, on the opposite side, we have failure. So when someone fails, if they fail really hard in a very painful way, you could fail miserably. For example, you study 2 years for let's say a Chinese qualifying exam. You really want a Chinese certificate, but then you still fail it. So that you fail miserably. That means in a dramatic way. A spectacular failure. That also means like something you did not expect it to fail, but it was a spectacular failure. That means not expected. And then one of the way that people say is the word flopped. Yeah, F-L-O-P, flop. The flop means like, usually we talk about entertainment or concert or performance. When the play flopped, that means nobody showed up. They did not have enough audience. Let's say they expected 500 people in the audience and they ended up with 50. That means the play flopped. Yeah, and this one, it's not very common, but when you want to say about the hopes, when people have hope for something and then the hopes finally disappear, you can say the hopes were dashed. Yeah, it's gone, right? When something go wrong, you can also say go badly wrong to modify it. It goes badly wrong or it went badly wrong. Doomed to failure, that means you know that it's going to fail, right? It's the opposite of guaranteed success. to be doomed to failure. You can say the business is doomed to failure. That means everybody know it's going to fail, but still we do it anyway. We have failed an exam. We have this small failure. This small failure is a failure. Yes. Not as spectacular, but still a failure. A small failure. That's another word for it. Go out of business. You know this one. And my favorite, a recipe for disaster. That means bad decisions, right? A recipe for disaster means bad decision. For example, if you want to say, I decided to take an extra job at the weekend in addition to my full-time job, it was a bad decision. And you can substitute that, right? I decided to take an extra job at the weekend. It was a recipe for disaster. I mean, it was a bad decision. It took me into all kinds of trouble. A recipe for disaster, a bad decision. And why do we have to say that? It's for your fluency so that people understand you better. Because a bad decision is too general, but a recipe for disaster means it costs you a lot of troubles, right? Lose one's nerve. So the word nerve comes from the brain, the nerve. So when you lose your nerve, that means you are very nervous. For example, you are about to go to the stage and give a speech to a large crowd, let's say 500 people. And you can tell the people in the preparation room, like, I'm losing my nerve. That means I'm really nervous right now. Miss the point. Miss the point means misunderstand. Yes, and you can substitute the with my or your, right? For example, if someone misunderstood you, you can say, you totally missed my point. Or I'm sorry, but I think you missed my point. So to miss someone's point is to misunderstand somebody. Okay, so just a quick exercise. I will go through this one and then we will try to see what word we can put in so that this becomes a good collocation. Again, it's for both success. Yeah. Over the year, Henry has the respect of his colleagues. So earlier I said if you want to use the word with respect, what word is it? What word go with respect? Has something to respect. And now as he retires, we all hope he can enjoy the of his many years of hard work. His career has been a success and he has an enormous contribution to our profession. Thank you from all of us. Okay, can anybody help me with the first one? Henry has the respect of his colleagues.
Win the respect.
Yes,
or earn
has.
the respect, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we use win or earn, and here it's a present perfect. So we say has won the respect or has earned the respect. Okay, and then number 2, we have enjoy. This is an idiom, enjoy the of his hard work. Okay, let me just give you here so that you can see it's the fruits of his many years of hard work. The fruit, right? Enjoy the fruit of your hard work or the fruit of your labor. And then also, yeah, has been a brilliant, a great, or a remarkable success. Whatever you put in, just make sure the adjective fit with success. So anytime you talk about success, you can use remarkable, brilliant, great, yes, glorious success. And then number 4 is made an enormous contribution, right? And then you can check out the rest later, either through your book or from the slide. Okay, and Sokji, I will answer your question at the end. I think that's a really good question that you sent directly to me. Okay, and yeah, let's just go through this briefly. So for cause and effect, we also have a lot of vocabulary to talk about it. And this is a very useful function because commonly you have to talk about the causes and effects of something, right? So for the negative events, you can use the verb cause, like cause me anxiety, cause alarm, cause concern, cause chaos. Bring about mean to make something happen, to bring about a change, bring about a transformation, bring about the collapse. Or you can use the word to create, right? Create awareness, create problems. Spark off is a phrasal verb, just like you light the fire. So you can spark off demonstration, you can spark off rumor. Yes, just think about it as starting the fire. That's the meaning of the spark off. So you can use it with some verbs. And then attract a lot of criticism, attract support, and you can say produce the opposite effect, produce the results. So the goal is learn this word in the table in the textbook, learn it, and then when you listen to English conversations, try to identify when collocations start to appear. Yeah, this will be the starting point. So once you start to pay attention to collocations and you start to use some of them in your own English conversations, then that's the moment you start to be more comfortable with it, right? So this practice just draw your attention to these words, but in actual speech or conversation, you may not use like all the calls like that. You probably combine some of them together. Okay, and we have some more here that I'm not going to go through because it's more direct, the meaning, right? Just that you need to remember, for example, if you want to say the cause of something, if you want to use adjective, you need to use the underlying cause, the root cause, or the immediate cause. Okay. And then when you want to say effects, you can say negative effects or adverse effect. But if you want to use result, you have a separate word like direct or inevitable, or indirect or unforeseen results. So these words will help you improve your speaking fluency if you want to modify the noun. Okay, and common expression that people use is to cause an uproar. That means attract a lot of negative emotion. For example, the new policy in the company caused an uproar among the employees. That means people are very emotionally driven by the policy. Suffer the consequence. That means something is a bad policy and everyone suffers the consequences. Yes, have a huge effect, have a major impact, create a bad impression, have a lot of influence, or cause a sensation. Yeah, cause a sensation is a general term. That means it makes people have feelings about it, cause a sensation. Okay, so here are just some of the discourse functions to talk about cause and effect, success and failures, and also the starting and finishing. If you practice the book, I suggest that if you have something that you really like, for example, bring something to an end, you don't need to memorize it for now. At some point, you will get it. But the phrase like an abrupt end or a close finish, you probably need to memorize it. So memorize the shorter one, and for the longer phrase, you can just get familiar with it, but with more exposure to English, you should be able to get it, right? But the key point is to notice where collocation is in a sentence and how to use it. And I'm gonna play you a short clip right here from Leonardo DiCaprio in his speech at the United Nations. Right, so here is the practice, but we're not going to do it. I will send you the slide. The answer is here, right next to it. Just pick the correct collocation. Right, so this is Leonardo DiCaprio speech at the United Nations. It's only 3 minutes long, but I want to give you an example of how collocations are used in the speech, right? So to the person speaking it, They may be native speakers or English learners, but at some point, these phrases should feel familiar. They should feel natural to you. And that's something that we call fluency phrases. That means the phrase that you can use without thinking about it. The phrase like, how are you? What are you doing? Do you have free time tomorrow? Yeah, you don't have to think about the grammar or the syntax of the sentence. You just need to use it. So I put the fluency phrase on the left here, and you're gonna see how he used it in the speech about climate change, right? I will go through it briefly so you have some context. And once again, if you can use these phrases in your own speech, try it a couple of times, then it will start to feel natural. So the first one, play fictitious character. Fictitious come from the word fiction, which is made up or not real. So a movie is a fiction, right? If you see someone falls down from the building, gets shot, but is still alive at the end, it's a fiction. So when you say you play fictitious characters, that means you are not yourself. You play the role of someone else. Yeah, you play fictitious character. Or you can replace fictitious character with something, right? You play a hero. Don't play a hero. That means don't try to be a hero. Or don't play a villain. Don't try to be a bad person. As if it were. That is a phrase that you can use to talk about when people do something and they assume it to be like that, right? As if it were the truth. That means it's not true. Yeah. For example, you can say that people talk about this as if it were the truth, but it's not. We know better than that. That means you can do better. You need to learn and get better. We know better than that. Yes. So for the rest, I will let you see in the speech. The speech already has subtitles, and learn to use this word. Okay, let's listen. Quick check, can you hear the sound? Did anyone hear the sound of the video when I played it earlier?
Yes, I hear.
Okay, thank you. I'll play again. Okay.
I stand before you not as an expert, but as a concerned citizen, one of the 400,000 people who marched in the streets of New York on Sunday, and the billions of others around the world who want to solve our climate crisis. As an actor, I pretend for a living. I play fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. I believe that mankind has looked at climate change in that same way, as if it were a fiction, as if pretending that climate change wasn't real would somehow make it go away. But I think we all know better than that now. Every week we're seeing new and undeniable climate events, evidence that accelerated climate change is here right now. Our oceans are acidifying, with methane plumes rising up from the ocean floor. We are seeing extreme weather events and the West Antarctic and Greenland ice sheets melting at unprecedented rates, decades ahead of scientific projections. None of this is rhetoric, and none of it is hysteria. It is fact. The scientific community knows it, industry knows it, governments know it, even the United States military knows it. The chief of the U.S. Navy's Pacific Command, Admiral Samuel Locklear, recently said that climate change is our single greatest security threat. My friends, this body, perhaps more than any other gathering in human history, now faces this difficult but achievable task. You can make history, or you will be vilified by it. To be clear, this is not about just telling people to change their light bulbs or to buy a hybrid car. This disaster has grown beyond the choices that individuals make. This is now about our industries and our governments around the world taking decisive, large-scale action. Now must be our moment for action. We need to put a price tag on carbon emissions and eliminate government subsidies for oil, coal, and gas companies. We need to end the free ride that industrial polluters have been given in the name of a free market economy. They do not deserve our tax dollars. They deserve our scrutiny, for the economy itself will die if our ecosystems collapse. The good news is that renewable energy is not only achievable, but good economic policy. This is not a partisan debate, it is a human one. Clean air and a livable climate are inalienable human rights. And solving this crisis is not a question of politics, it is a question of our own survival. This is the most urgent of times and the most urgent of messages. Honored delegates, leaders of the world, I pretend for a living, but you do not. The people made their voices heard on Sunday around the world, and the momentum will not stop. But now it is your turn. The time to answer humankind's greatest challenge is now. We beg of you to face it with courage and honesty. Thank you.
Okay, so when you listen to a speech, you don't really hear like the collocations, because when you are in a conversation, basically you focus on the interactions, the meaning. But the meanings actually come from collocation. If you look at these phrases and you don't know what they mean, it's actually hard to understand these conversations, right? So we have play fictitious character as if it were, that means to pretend something is something else. We know better than that. That means we can do better. We know better than that. We can do better. Undeniable climate events. That means don't argue over it. There is evidence that climate is changing. And we have the word unprecedented rate, right? So the word precedent comes from the word predecessor. That means the one that comes before. So unprecedented rates mean the rates that never happened before. So the climate is changing at an unprecedented rate. That's a good phrase to use. Scientific projections. That's what science says about the future. Security threats, right? Grow beyond measures. Yeah, it grows beyond our capability. For example, you have a company and then the company grows beyond your management. That means you have to recruit more people. Put a price tag on, right? So you probably listen to the song, The Price Tag, but to put a price tag on, that means to make something expensive so that people become responsible for it. For example, in the United States right now, in the state of Washington, they put a price tag on gas car because they want people to use hybrid and electric cars. So if you buy electric car or hybrid car, you pay less tax than people who buy a regular car. That means the government is putting a price tag on carbon emission to make it expensive. Deserve our scrutiny. Yeah, scrutiny means like a close watch of someone. If you are a parent, you have kids, so your kids deserve your scrutiny. I mean, you have to watch them closely in case they misbehave or in case they go with the wrong peer, they associate with the gang, something. So the same way you can apply this to the larger thing, like deserve our scrutiny. That means we need to pay close attention to it. And especially in America, they use the word partisan debate all the time. Partisan come from party, political party. So a partisan debate means a debate between political parties when they believe in different things. That's called a partisan debate, when you take sides based on your political views. Another phrase that is very American is inalienable human rights. The word alien here means, yeah, inalienable, it means like it's for everybody. Yeah, it's everyone has the right. That is an inalienable human rights. And the last one I want you to get familiar with is it's not a question of, but a question of. Right? This is a really nice way to say it. You can say it's not a question of business, but a question of humanity. It's not a question of money, but a question of ethics, right? That means I'm not talking about money here. I'm talking about ethics, or I'm talking about humanity. Or you can say, I'm not talking about winning, but I'm talking about compassion, like being kind to one another. So you can say, it's not a question of winning, but a question of compassion. Right, so these are examples of fluency phrases, and I will share later in the Telegram group the link to speeches like this. And make sure if you have time, yes, for some of us, when we have free time, we listen to music. That is good. But I suggest that you take some time of your music time, just 5 or 10 minutes, just listen to speech with subtitle like this. And then have your own dictionary of collocation. That's not a Oxford or anything. It's your own personal dictionary. Just build your collection of collocations. This will grow your vocabulary. And then at some point, you will realize that you will be more natural and fluent in your expressions because you have these phrases to help you make a point, right? And actually, I have a short activity at the end, but yeah, we probably can do it like with 1 or 2 people because we may not have time for a breakout room. We will do it later. Yeah, maybe on Friday. Yes, but ultimately, with all the phrases that you hear, you can use it in a short story. And then you can think about how did the story begin? Then you can use the phrase start, right? Like 2 years ago, I started a business. It went off to a really promising start. So here you see how I use those phrases. It went off to a really promising start. And then you can use some cause the event to happen, right? What were the effects of the event? How did the story end? And what lessons can be drawn? Okay, so this one, because we don't have time to do it, I will also suggest you do homework on it. Yeah, so next session on Friday, I'll probably start with 1 or 2 of you. I want you to like tell a short story about 1 or 2 minutes, but then try to use those phrases in your presentation, right? As I gave an example earlier, how did the story begin? Like it can be 2 years ago, I started a business. It went off to a really promising start. Yeah, I plan to bring about a change to the industry by, so here I talk about what caused the event to happen, and then what were the effects of the event, how did the story end, what lesson can be drawn. As you can see here, one more thing, when you speak, you also need to stick to the tense. As you can see here, all the questions are in past tenses. How did the story begin? What caused the event to happen? What were the effects? So you need to use those vocabulary, but you also need to change the tense so that it fits the timeline that you are talking about. And then at the end, what lessons can be drawn, right? Okay, so the homework, in addition to the short story, you can visit all of the exercise again. It's on units 51, 52, and 53. And it will be from pages 106 to 111, 111. Okay, and I think I got a questions directly to me, like, if you practice this exercise, will you memorize it? I would say yes and no, because when you memorize this, it will be part of your short-term memory. Yes, let me be technical a bit here. It will be part of your short-term memory, but when we speak, we don't speak from short-term memory. That's the problem. When you use a language, when you speak English with your friend, you are not speaking from short-term memory, you are speaking from long-term memory. It's the memory that you can recall without paying so much attention to it. That's why if you pay so much attention to grammar while speaking, your communication will not be fluent because you are using short-term memory in the conversation. Your goal is to learn this phrase and make sure that it becomes part of your long-term memory, which is always there for you to use anytime without conscious or without the use of too much attention. For example, most of you can say, how are you? And you don't even think about it, right? Good morning, how are you? Yeah, what did you do yesterday? So some of these phrases come natural to you because you use it again and again, you hear it again and again. So the goal is to learn these phrases. And then I will send you the video with the subtitle, just like the one you watched earlier. Then you learn and then you see more phrases. It is this action of repetition, like doing the practice, and then just watch the videos and then observe collocation. So from now on, every time you watch anything in English, whether a movie, a sport commentary, read a newspaper, you have to pay attention to collocation because that's the core of your long-term memory. And your goal is to learn this one and then repeat it enough time by watching and listening to things again and again, then it will become part of your active vocabulary, right? And active vocabulary is in your long-term memory. Yes, and when we go to the writing part of the course, you will see that there are more complex phrases that you need to use in writing. Yes, in speaking, they are all like, some of them are informal expression. I think teacher Lida already showed you in the first session on the types of collocation. Some of them can be pretty informal, but in writing, you need to use a different types of phrases to communicate your meanings, right? Okay, so with that said, I will conclude the lesson today with the homework. Yeah, please complete this. 51 and 52 and 53. Learn these words. If there are phrases that you really like, put it into your personal notebook. And then the same way, when you watch the videos and you come across any phrases that you like, you can put it in your notebook. And you're not going to do it forever, trust me. Yeah, some people, when I tell this, they say, how long do I have to do it? Like, do I have to keep my notebook 5 or 10 years from now? No, you only have to do it for several months. Then once you have enough vocabulary in your long-term memory, you will memorize better. Yeah, you don't have to have your vocabulary notebook with you the whole time, right? So that is the goal of the course, to help you build a foundation so that after that foundation, everything just fits together and you can build your fluency and you can improve your writing skills. Yeah, with just more observation, because the techniques are just the basics. You don't need advanced technique. Yeah, there are advanced vocabulary, but you only need to learn it when you need to. For example, if you are ready for to pursue your study abroad in a very technical field, let's say you want to study law in the United States or in England, then you probably need to build another foundation. But for English fluency in general, and in a basic academic sense, this will be a very strong start. Okay, any questions before we call an end to today's sessions? Once again, I will share the meeting recording, the slide, and the link to those short video with subtitles. Okay, if no question, I'm not gonna keep you here. Let's say good night to everyone and see you again on Friday with more topics and different activities, right? Good night.